Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge. I'm your host, Clady. Happy morning. How you guys doing? It's so nice to see so many of you already in the chat. Hi, Robin. Hi, Mark, Lee, Afsara, Van Dam, Valdair, Aurelia, Lois, Mandy, Philippa, Carla. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on a Monday. I hope you guys had an amazing weekend. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Clady. I'm an Italian designer based in Manchester. Today I'm streaming live from the amazing Adobe Office live studio in San Francisco. And let me know where you guys are from. Hi Omar, hi Chad. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. Also, if you have not already joined the challenge, make sure to go on behance.net/challenge/Photoshop. I'm just gonna show it here on my desktop as well. And once you land on this page, you'll be able to click on this big blue button here in order to join the challenge. You're also gonna receive some notification that will let you know when the new challenge is up, and you'll be able to access some files per each different challenge. In fact, if you scroll down, you'll see all the previous challenges that we've been running in the previous week. So you can watch the video and also access the file that we've been using during the challenge. You have time to submit your work until the 27th of September. I'm gonna be with you the entire week. We're gonna create amazing works using Photoshop. We're gonna learn new skills, sharpen our techniques, and of course, connect with people worldwide. That's another thing that I absolutely love of the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge. I'm usually in the chat. Hi Sam, hi Axel. Nice to see you here, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. So yeah, besides the chat that you can join here on Adobe on Behance by going on behance.net/live and signing in with your Adobe ID, I also strongly advise you guys to join the community chat. And I'm talking about Discord. So for those of you who have not registered with Discord yet, make sure to click here on community chat, which is the step 2. And I'm still on the behance.net/challenge/Photoshop landing page. So make sure that you click here on community chat, and this will bring you into Discord. So Discord is a client chat. I'm gonna press continue. What happened there is that I already have the app on my desktop here, but if you don't want to download it, if you wanted to download it, it's super cool. You can have it both on your laptop, I even have it on my mobile, or you can simply use it on your browser. And what you can do here is post your work on the current challenges in order to get feedback. And again, as I said, I'm never gonna be tired of repeating it. This is a safe zone, it's a safe space for learning. So feel free to share your work in progress. It doesn't have to be a final work. It can just be a snapshot of your work in progress where maybe you're stuck and you want to ask some question. Feel free to share with us. Me or one of these amazing mentors, Sam, Tammy, team, will be able to help you and give you advice. And also, the question that you ask are very valuable for everyone in the chat. And we have almost 1,000 people here with us. So what also you can do is to chat with everyone, introduce yourself, and build your network worldwide. So Discord is very exciting. Make sure to post your work there. I look forward to review it after the challenge is done. But let's get back in the Daily Creative Challenge. You should be able to download your file from the Get Started button. Let's see if they're there. If they're not here today, what you can probably do is Sam should have the link, or I'm sure they're gonna be updated. Don't worry, you do not have to use the same file that I'm using. They're literally images that I took and one image from Adobe stock. So I'm sure they're gonna be available maybe after the stream, but you can still follow me and follow along using your own images. What we'll really be focusing on are the techniques and the tools that I'm gonna show you today. So let's get started by jumping into Photoshop. And what I have here, I'm gonna use my file here, and as you can see in this file, all I have is a background folder, and they're all Adobe stock files. So you can find it from your library panel here. And all it is a wall. I actually put some of them wall that we can use as a background afterwards. But for now, I'm just gonna click on the little eye button here in order to hide this layer because we don't need it to start yet. What also I'm gonna do is import one of my holiday picture, and but let's not do that yet. Let's start from the text, because today is about creating text effect. So probably the first thing that I'm gonna do is create the text. And I can see in the chat on the behance.net/live chat that Sam has shared the link with the files. So you guys will be able to follow along exactly with the same file that I have. Thank you so much, Sam, for sharing with everyone. But let's get back and bring our text in. I'm gonna do so by creating a new layer, clicking this layer, the button here on at the bottom of the layer panel. And I'm gonna go ahead and press T on my keyboard or select the type tool and click once on my canvas. Now I'm gonna use, because we're creating a paint effect that is gonna go on a wall, I'm gonna use my old graffiti tag name, which is Juicy. So I'm gonna go ahead and type Juicy. And if you guys want to use the same font that I have here, you have two choices. You can either go here on the font selector on your option bar and click on Typekit in order to open fonts.adobe.com, and you can just click and over here on the search bar and search for Fenway Park. Here it is. I created also a link over here, which I'm gonna go ahead and paste on Discord. So you guys can use the same font. In order to have the font available on Photoshop, all you have to do is activate the font by clicking on this little blue toggle here. So I'm just gonna post this on the current challenge chat. I'm sure Sam can make it available on the chat as well. Here we go, you already did it. Thank you so much, Sam. So you guys can actually follow along even with the same font. What I'm gonna do is making sure that the focus is on the text. I'm gonna press Command T to transform and click on one of the little boxes here on the corner of my bounding box. Press Option to constrain the proportion and drag out to make it bigger. Then I'm gonna drag it with the Move tool and reposition it here at the center of the canvas. As you can see, I have a vertical and horizontal line. Those are some smart guides. If you guys don't see the smart guide, all you have to do is go on View and Show and make sure that the smart guide here is ticked. So if for whatever reason you guys don't see the smart guide to show you when the image is centered, you can just bring them up by enabling the smart guide from your View menu, and then again you do Show and Smart Guides. So once you're happy with the size and you're happy having the text center, I'm gonna hit Return, and here we go. The text is there. Now I'm gonna bring an image in order to create a mask, and I'm gonna do so by going into File and Place Embedded. Now, if you see here, we have two options, Place Embedded and Place Linked. I strongly advise to use Place Embedded because that will allow you to keep the image within your Photoshop file. If you use the linked, then the Photoshop is gonna refer to another image. And when you're gonna share it with your clients or with your colleagues, it may create some issue because Photoshop is actually referring to an external source. So I strongly advise to use Place Embedded. And I'm gonna use the holiday picture that I've shared with you guys that is in the folder that Sam kindly put on the chat. And I'm gonna hit Place in order to bring the image in. I'm gonna click Return. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna blur this image a little bit because for the effect that I wanna create, I wanna get rid of these little sharp lines. In order to do so, make sure that your image is selected. Go onto Filter, Blur, and Gaussian Blur. And for this image, you can see the preview here on the little square on our Gaussian Blur window. I don't want to go too crazy with this. You can zoom out to see the overall image. All I need is to get rid of the very, very sharp edges. So I think that for this size and this image, something like 5 or 6 works perfectly. And I'm gonna hit OK to accept the changes. Now, what I wanna do is create a clipping mask. I think in challenge number 3, we talked about the difference between layer mask and clipping mask. With a clipping mask, if we use a clipping mask, we're gonna reveal everything that is, so the visibility is gonna be dictated by the layer below. And we can create a clipping mask by pressing Option, Command G, making sure that we're doing so on the top layer, so the layer that we wanna clip to the bottom one. And as you can see, the visibility is being dictated by my text. So once we do so, we can create a smart object that contains both of our layers. And we can do so by clicking on the first layer, holding Shift, clicking on the other layer, pressing Control and click, and convert both layers in one single smart object. We're gonna move forward and see how this simple step of creating a smart object is gonna be incredibly useful to replace content within our type. But I'm just gonna have a quick look at the chat to see if you guys have any question. I'm glad that you guys are enjoying the stream. Hi everyone. Bivalder here, we'll catch up later. Don't worry, there are always the replays here. Also, for those of you who wanna see the videos, you can go on the behance.net/challenge/Photoshop. But I also have a YouTube channel. There is not much at the moment. There are only my Adobe Lives, but you might enjoy to see what I've done before here at Adobe Lives with branding and of course, all the different challenges. So I am Clady, my website is I am Clady, or my social media are I am Clady. So if you wanna check out what I've done in the past, you can either go on behance.net/challenge/Photoshop or on my social media. Actually, I think you can access them from my Behance page as well. Yeah, you can find all my social media here at the bottom of my Behance page. But let's go back into Photoshop because we are richly have 10 minutes here, guys. So in order to create the paint effects, once you have your smart object made and your layers converted in a smart object, that's also another plus because we are working not destructively. I'm gonna go and click on the filter layer and use Liquify. So I'm gonna zoom in on the letter. And again, just for, time restriction, I'm not gonna be super precise here, but as long as you guys get the idea and learn how to use the tool, that's what really matters here. So I'm gonna use the forward warp tool, which is the very first one on the top here. And I'm gonna make sure that the brush is as big as the type stroke. You can do that by using the brackets, left brackets to make it smaller, right brackets to make your brush bigger. And I'm just gonna start and pretty much kind of like outline the type using this brush tool. So feel free to smudge it around. Something that I also advise is, have a play with these edges here. You don't want a very sharp edges, so especially on the eye, on the curves, on the top of the letter, and of course inside. We're gonna start click and drag with your warp tool. And probably I'm gonna use a slightly bigger brush here to make sure that I grab all the color around, just like so. And then in order not to change and too much distort the image, I'm just gonna go a little bit smaller for this smaller area over here. And I'm gonna make the brush bigger again. So don't worry if it doesn't look great at the first go. Usually you need to repeat this a few times in order to really get a bit of a hang of the different smudges that you wanna do. And here we go. Once you're happy with the little smudges that you've done here, you can press OK. And I'm gonna add another effect, always using Liquify, but I'm gonna stack it on top of the other Liquify. So always with my image selected, I'm gonna click on Filter and then Liquify again. Make sure that you do not select the first Liquify, but the second one, because we wanna add a different effect. So always with my warp tool, I'm going to zoom it in and I'm gonna create some drippings here. And in this case, you need a slightly bigger brush because you need to grab some of the pixel and literally drag them down. Now, I like to get carried away with this, so be mindful because I love to add all these paint drips, but also you don't wanna overdo it. Also here, for example, I'm not happy about this distortion that I've made. I can just press Command Z and Command Z again in order to go back and there we go, make something that respects a little bit more the law of gravity. And that's something that you really want to be mindful of also as well, like make sure that the drops kind of go in the same direction. So for example, this here need to be brought a little bit back to the left. And again over here and over here as well. Once you're happy with your distortion and with all these drops, just simply press OK. And as you can see, once you share with your art director, with your client, if they don't like the drops and they just want the smudge, all you have to do is add one of the two Liquify effects. So there we go. The drops go, but I keep the smudge. Or the other way around. We can keep the drops, but keep the image behind. So once you're happy with your selection, let's go and see the depth and the power of our smart object here. So what you can do is double click on your smart object. And I already have a library with other images. Here, feel free to use any other images. Those are literally examples to show you the power of a smart object. I'm gonna go ahead and click and drag and place the other image here. And I'm gonna be very random in distorting it. I just wanna make sure that it goes over my text. And I'm gonna name it option 2 by double clicking on the layer. And I'm also gonna press Option Command G to create a clipping mask, so it affects my text. And then I'm gonna hide both of those and bring back another image here. Again, hit return, as long as you cover the text. I'm gonna name it option 3, option 3, click return, and again, Option Command G. Actually, I wanna show you another way to create a clipping mask. You can hover between the layer and press Option, and you see you have the arrow that transforms in a little square with a bottom down square and with a down arrow, down pointing arrow. And if you click in between the layers, that's another way of creating a clipping mask. Now, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna introduce you guys to an amazing tool, which is the layer comps, which is a feature of Photoshop that allows you to take snapshot of a state of a layer. And I'm gonna show you what that means. If we click here, first of all, we wanna toggle the first image so it's visible. And I'm gonna press here on new layer, and I'm gonna call this Cloudy, because that was my first one. Now make sure that the visibility is checked in, because we're gonna show a snapshot of the visibility of the layer. You can also use position, so where something is placed in a document, or appearance, which is a layer style. But all we need is the visibility. So I'm gonna name it and press OK. Then I'm gonna disable the visibility of this layer and enable another visibility and create another layer comp called option 2, and hit return, and again disable the layer and enable the option 3 and do the same and press OK. Now I know I'm going a little bit fast. Remember, you can watch a replay, pause, and follow this a little bit slowly if you need to. Once I created my layers, I'm gonna go back into my first one and close by pressing Command W and save the changes. So look what happens here. So first of all, I'm gonna create, I'm gonna use a background so we have a little bit more of contrast and we can see we can see the text. So I'm gonna create a fill layer over here by clicking on Adjustment Fill Layer, Solid Color. I think I'm gonna go with something like 15% brightness to keep it dark and have contrast, and I'm gonna place it here at the very bottom. So once you click on the layer panel, on the layer within the layers panel that has the main image that we were using, and go into properties, look what happened. Because we saved different composition, now we have it available here. So you can literally trigger the different images that we used in our smart object, and all the effects that we have used and applied to the smart object will apply also to the images. And here we go. This is the option 2 and the option 3. So this is great to show different options for your clients or your director. Now I'm gonna stick with the first one, and I've got literally 5 minutes, and I really wanna show you how to use the backgrounds that are made available here, because we wanna make a really realistic paint effect. So I'm gonna hide this solid color because I wanna bring in one of the images, and I'm gonna click on the little eye icon to bring it in, and I'm fine with this one. So this is a brick layer. What I really wanna do is make sure that it looks realistic, so the shadow and the highlights come through the type. And I'm gonna do this by using Blend If. In order to access Blend If, double click on your layer and you have your layer style panel showing up. And Blend If is located just here at the bottom. So Blend If allows you to trigger visibility by using the luminosity of a layer. If you use this layer, of course, you're gonna be using the luminosity of the layer that you currently selected. If you're using underline layer, which is this slider below, you're gonna be using the dark and light pixel of the layers below. So what I'm gonna do is to bring in all these, let's see if it happens here. I'm gonna use a little bit more of a dramatic effect. So I wanna bring in all the dark shadows of the bricks, and you can, let me just pop these up and bring in the highlights over here. So as you can see, if I use the right slider, I'm bringing the highlights, and if I move the cursor from the back, I'm bringing in the shadow. This is a light image, so of course we're gonna see much more the difference with the light. In order to smooth your transition and make it less hard, you can click Option and click on the arrow here in the slider. And as you can see, the slider here, the arrow separates, and you can actually make a much smoother transition like so. So we can see the highlights and really looks like our type is on the wall. And once you're happy with your transformation, just press OK in order to save it. Now I'm gonna save this image by press Shift Command S, and I'm gonna put it on my desktop here, and I'm gonna use a JPEG, and I'm gonna color text effect, and hit save, and I'm okay with these JPEG settings. What I want to show you guys is how to bring this image into our Behance. We already create a project, so all you have to do here is go back on your Behance page and click on this little clockwork here and press edit. Someone was asking how to upload an image. They were struggling to bring the image in. Well, all you have to do is, I'm going to scroll down because I already uploaded previous work. All you have to do here is hover under the projects. So as soon as you hover, you see this little block here, and what you need to click in order to bring in your image is this arrow here. So if you hover on top of it, it should say upload, but if it doesn't, now you guys know that this is the way to bring in your images. I'm gonna see if there is any question at all. Tanya, yes, it's graffiti. So that's the power of Photoshop. You can literally create any sort of artwork without getting your hands dirty. Because trust me, when I used to do my graffiti, I used to have paint under my nails, on my hair, on my clothes, and it will be there for like about a week. So yeah, I'm glad you guys are liking these. Michaela, Chad, Jennifer, Carlos, Photoshop tools are amazing. I completely agree. But let's back and let's go back on Behance so we can upload our image. So yeah, what you need is to hover and click on this arrow here, and it will bring up a window. So all you have to do is remember where you saved your image. Mine was on my desktop, text effect, and click on open. And here we go, it's loading. It's already on my Behance project. Now, if you want to get a little bit more fancy, you can still hover in between and click on the T to add text. So this is going to be my challenge number 5, and click on save. And that's absolutely done. Now remember, go on your setting if you're not done it already, and on discoverability, add the PS Daily Challenge keyword in order to have your work displayed and here found during the review time. Now I'm gonna click save and save again. And once I go back on my profile here, the artwork is gonna be at the very bottom. So those are all the previous challenges. And here we go, that's updated. So guys, that's everything for today. I'm gonna see you tomorrow. I don't know if we have any schedule for today, but there are amazing streams coming up. Here we go. So of course, this morning was me with the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge. And then we are going to have illustration for user interface with Katie Oloy, and then creative challenge with Andrea Hawk, and X3 illustration with Eba. I hope I pronounced everyone's name right. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you tomorrow. Stay tuned. Bye, guys.